Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at the brand new Kansept Tipper. This is a Edgy Bladeworks design. I reviewed recently the Kansept Simon, another one of his designs. And I gotta say, his design language is kind of a breath of fresh air. You see so many knives that look like other knives and are just plain Jane. And that gets boring, especially when I've been reviewing knives on YouTube for about 8 years now. And I've been in the hobby for way longer than that. So even though usually this type of blade isn't my thing, I am so happy I took a chance on this one. If you want to know why, stick around. I think this is a fantastic size for EDC at 7.98 inches, so it's on that larger end. It has a 3.38 inch. I guess we could call that a clip point tanto, or you could really call it whatever you like. It's pretty mean looking and it looks like it'd be a great slicer. It's got a nice satin finish on this particular one. There's plenty of different variations if this one isn't your thing. And this should be a fairly versatile blade because you have that belly to that tip. So you can do push cuts down. You can do rocking motion cuts. If you need to make a fine precision cut, you could use the secondary tip right here. Or if you wanted to, you could come up and use that tip up in the front, but you're gonna have to come up a little bit higher. You got enough of a semi-straight edge for doing your in-hand cuts. You don't have any jimping here, but you got a little ramp right here that really locks me in. And then right here, this little scoop's also comfortable. You have a well-executed sharpening choil. You can see that plunge comes to about right here is where it starts to thicken up. So you're gonna have all this sharpening life before you have to worry about it starting to widen, and that should take quite some time. Your blade steel on this one is CPM S35VN, and so far I've had really good results with Kansept S35. You have this slicer style grind where you have like a saber here, and then it transitions up here to a full flat. Your thumb studs pretty much stay out of the cutting path, as you can see. Yeah, you would never have to worry about that being in your cutting path. Not something that I ever worry about anyway, and I've never had it be an issue on anything I cut. This one has some pretty chunky blade stock at 0.14 inches. However, they got a nice tall flat grind on this one, so they still managed to get it down nice and thin to around 16 thousandths behind the edge at the thinnest portion, which is about right here. That's about the height, the full height of that grind. And then up by the tip area, of course, it thickens up a little bit, but it's still pretty darn thin, coming down to around 21 thousandths behind the edge. So if this one's sharp, I think it's going to be an outstanding slicer. Let's find out. I really wish I could feel how well this one is slicing. It's got great edge geometry and it came with a remarkable edge from the factory. So as long as it holds that edge, this should be a very simple testing. You got that nice broad blade. You got enough straight edge to make longer cuts. And I think it may be a versatile blade shape. It depends on how easy it is to use that secondary tip, maybe even that primary tip. But so far so good, and I don't see it having any issues. I mean, I've tested quite a bit of Kansept knives and they've all performed pretty darn good as long as they're sharp. So right away I noticed that these scales feel nice and you can see how crisp that edge is. It's really peeling this like a apple. Very fine curls if I wanted to. Then I started increasing pressure more and more to see if there's anything poking, prodding me. And they did such a fantastic job with softening all the edges. I'm able to put so much force into that wood and it's very comfortable. Now I want you to see, I did like 4 before I started speeding it up. Look how it's popping that sisal rope. And the way you have that bellied area to the tip, I can do these push down cuts and it makes it very easy. You're basically just shoving down, and say if it wasn't push cut sharp, I could do a sawing motion where you have that transition at the secondary tip right there. There's plenty of different ways you could do this on a flat cutting surface. So that's why I think this is a much more versatile blade than I expected. It's when you have enough of that bellied section to the tip. That's what really made this one as versatile as it is. I haven't had the same experience with Americanized Santos where you don't have that belly. It's just a small straight edge. Just because you don't have as much section. That's more for piercing power, I found. And look, you can do those drag cuts like I was talking about rather easily. And it's like a little scalpel up there because that's the height of that grind. So that's probably the thinnest portion of that edge. And man, this one just kept surprising me more and more. And you can see that I did all that last bit of cutting and the sisal rope with that little small section right there, and it never slowed down a bit. Fantastic job, Kansept. Man, just as I expected, this one performed so well. And after doing the testing on this one, I'm so glad I took a chance on it because this blade shape was not only versatile, it was slicey, it held up great, and it was an absolute joy to test. You know, some of these knives, I can bear the testing and, you know, I get through them, but there's some that really stand out, and the Tipper is definitely one of those. Now let's close it up, and we're going to take a look at the action on this one. So you have dual thumb studs that are easily accessible, well-tuned detent. This one comes rocketing out, riding on cage ceramic bearings. You can easily reverse flick if you like. If you want to slow roll it, you can do that also. And then on the left side, you can easily access those thumb studs as well. It's definitely nice and smooth on the drop, and you have a nice crisp break on that ceramic detent ball. Now, when it came to the ergos, that was another huge reason why this one was such a pleasure to test. These tie scales have a nice, gentle contour on them, but the thing I like most is look at the softening. I don't know if that's going to come across, but see how they softened those edges. And usually, you know, sometimes whenever a contour stops, you'll get a hard edge right there, but Kansept did a fantastic job of knocking down any hard edges, making this one extremely comfortable for me. Your pocket clip is even slightly contoured, and I did not feel this at all. Your saber grip, nice and comfortable. Hammer grip, fantastic. Your pull grip right here is good. I am sitting on the pocket clip, but it's not uncomfortable or anything, and I could get a good bit of force when I'm pulling this way. And if you want to do the reverse gas station knife fight grip, it's fantastic because of the way this one curves right there. This particular version has a blue anodized tie frame, something I'm loving to see. We have a Torx T8 pivot and T8 body screws. Man, I hope they continue to do that. You know, sometimes it's the designers that request that, so I don't know. I'll have to wait and see on the next few that I get from Kansept, because we all know for the longest time they refused to use T8. So you have a blue pivot collar on both sides. That doesn't really look like titanium. It looks like a dyed material or a hard anodized aluminum maybe, just because of how deep that blue is. You do have a titanium backspacer that is flush with the scales. Like I said, you got a nice contoured mill tie pocket clip that is comfortable in the hand. Now, it's definitely not a deep carry, and this one's tip up right hand carry only. Now, I found that it has enough ramp to get through my lightweight shorts and all my jeans rather easily. Now, of course, I would have loved to see this lock relief on the inside. That way you don't have to worry about any bunching when you're pulling it out of the pocket. It hadn't become an issue yet, but it just looks so much cleaner in my opinion. They kept this pocket clip decently thin, so you got good flex to it without being overly flexy, where I feel like it's going to easily spring out. And like I said, it goes in the pocket fairly easily, and that is what you have sticking out. I'm okay with that. You know, the one good thing about that is you got something to grab a hold to when pulling it out of the pocket, just in case it does get bunched up into that lock relief. I will say I was kind of shocked whenever I weighed this one, because I definitely thought it was going to be lighter than it is, because you have tons of pocketing in there on the top and the bottom of those tie scales. But you do have a pretty wide blade here that is pretty thick at 0.14. And then you have these thick slabs of tie backspacer, tie clip. Bringing the weight up, it comes in at 4.68 ounces. But I did not find it to be cumbersome at all, and I'm perfectly fine with that as well. And I think the reason it feels lighter than it is is because the balance point is absolute perfection. As you can see, it's right there in the choil area. So this one definitely is going to feel agile in hand. Your lockup on your frame lock is coming in at around 40% or so. You have a hardened stainless steel lock insert as well. And your access to the lock bar, outstanding. This comes down a little lower, and then you got this nice chamfer there. It's very comfortable for me to get my thumb in there, or this portion. I always love it whenever you get the proper lock access like that. Your lockup on this one is just ridiculously secure. No movement in any direction whatsoever. Of course, that is exactly what you want to see. Now time for some quick size comparisons. It's just a little smaller than the Kansept Bulldozer, and it's just about identical in length to the Kansept Cosmos. And it's just a little shorter than the Kansept Tuckamore, and it's just a hair longer than the Kansept Arcus. And lastly, it's a little smaller than the Ontario Rat 1, and it's a little bigger than the Kansept Cyben. Now, being that absolutely no knife's perfect, what are my nitpicks and complaints? There's no lefty love here. Doesn't affect me, but of course it affects my lefties. I always prefer seeing the lock relief done on the inside. It's a lot cleaner look, and you don't ever have to worry about your pants bunching up in that area or anything. Not something that happened with this one, but just something that I noticed. It would have been nice if the clip screws would have been T8, but like I said, you don't have to remove the clips, take apart the knife, so that's not really that big of a deal. And even though I'm fine with it, I think it definitely would have been nicer to use that last clip screw as your body screw. That way the clip would have been moved all the way to almost to the end there. But then you kind of run into, you know, the end of the clip. You don't want it to be hanging over, so I kind of get it there. So what are my final thoughts? These come in at $178 whenever you have just anodized and your plain blades. And then they bump up a little bit more to around $180 for the two Damascus bladed versions. One of them has the tiger stripe tie, and then the other one has like the lightning ano on it. You can also get this one in a bronze anodization, and then there's an all blacked out one. So do I think it's worth $178? Absolutely. You know, after testing this one and seeing how well it performed, how versatile it was, you know, you got great action, snappy action, and something big for me is the ergos, and they are fantastic. At least for my medium-sized hands, I thought it was very, very comfortable. I like different, and this blade is definitely different looking. I don't think it's ugly at all. I think it's nice and unique looking. It flows well. You got the same curvature on the back side right here as that Tonto area. This one checks pretty much all the boxes for me. Great action, great ergos, aesthetically pleasing, great performer. That's all the things I really look for in a great EDC knife. It carries well. It's perfectly balanced. It is a little bit extra weighty, but I'm okay with it because it carries just fine. The weight for me is more so if it's an unbalanced knife and it's heavy, then that is an issue for me because then you have a better chance of it tipping out of your hand or tipping forward, depending on where the weight is distributed. And, you know, I found over the many years of carrying knives that when I have jeans on, you know, I'm good. I usually like to keep it under like 6.5 ounces. Now, if I have my lightweight shorts on, this is about the heaviest I want to go. I like to keep it under 5 ounces. And do I like my super featherweights? Yeah, I like them all. So, if nothing I talked about is a deal breaker for you, then I can highly, highly recommend the Kansept Tipper. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised on how good this one is. Another one in the books for Kansept. I was speaking their praise with a lot of the previous designs. It started with the Kansept Tarkin for me. No, it started with the Kansept Havorn, then it went to the Tarkin, and they continued to up the ante on their quality, and I love to see that. And if this one does it for you and you want to help support the channel, you can use my links that are in the description below. If not, no sweat at all. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave those down below and I'll do my best to get back with you. Let me know what y'all think about the new Kansept Tipper. Is this one for you? Like I said, if you're on the fence, take a chance on it. You definitely will not be disappointed. I mean, if you are, I'll be surprised. And everybody else who picked up one of these already, let us know what you think about yours down in the comments. All right, guys and girls, that's going to do it for today's video. I hope every one of y'all is having a fantastic day, the day you deserve. And remember, keep your blade sharp like this Kansept Tipper. Smile more. Peek-a-poo.